This week we have a collection of new Pokemon, the new Pokemon being Anorith, Dratini, Pineco, and Psyduck, all of whom I'm very much looking forward to playing. Pineco, historically one of my favorite Pokemon. I like Pinecones, what can I say? I know Dratini in the E4 is supposed to be very strong, so looking forward to that. And outside of that, this box, I did a few test runs with different versions of this box, and what I found is you can do a lot of weird switch stuff. You have Dragon Tail on Dratini, you have Spikes on Pineco, you have Toxic Spikes on Wooper and Yawn, and you have Double Regenerator with Solosis and Gossiflower, and you have Flip Turn with Psyduck. So there's a lot of interesting things you can do with you switching and making the opponent switch into Spikes and T-Spikes and stuff. And a few mons new to Emerald Blitz that you get to try out with this box. As with the last week, we're just going to go ahead and jump directly into the fights. So we open up with Tate and Liza 1, which is not great, but also not terrible for this box. We have Rotom, which is good in pretty much every gym early game. I'm a little bit worried about the Psyduck getting double targeted here and dying. Unfortunately, Tate and Liza do end up using Potion on the Solrock, and my Gossiflower gets taken to exactly 1 HP over Berry range. So now, if it gets double targeted, it's guaranteed dead, so I'm thinking, okay, I want to switch. I do end up getting double targeted on Solosis, which is fine, and now I'm kind of thinking I don't want to switch Solosis out because I don't think I get double targeted. Fortunately, I don't. And I'm thinking if I switch anything in where the Solosis is, it will just get double targeted and die, but if we're able to get a Confusion off, we'll be able to kill the Solrock the next turn. Fortunately, we're able to take out the Solrock, and the Lunatone burns the turn using Safeguard, and now we're just going to click Thundershock and Helping Hand a couple times to get through this. So a little bit difficult, and this is the main reason why, or one of the main reasons why I put Rotom in this box to begin with, because when I tested with the 4 mons that were added with Dratini, Pineco, Psyduck, and Anorith, they aren't super strong early game. And I found that having Rotom in early is very, very valuable with this box. So because we have Rotom, we're able to take out Gym 1. Now we jump straight into Viola 2 here, again leading Rotom. Shocking, I'm sure. We are able to 2-shot the Surskit with Thundershock. I'm plus Special Attack Nature with like 20-something Special Attack IVs, so this Rotom's going to nuke pretty much the whole game. Then Kata comes in, and I'm thinking I'll click Uproar, I'll get 2 Uproars off, and then I'll be able to go Thundershock and then switch out if I need to. My Uproar nuclear one-shots the Nincada, though. So we end up hitting the Beautifly with 2 Uproars. But with Thundershock, we're able to take it out. Now Volbeat comes out, and I don't want to get to an Uproar cycle with Volbeat out because I don't want to hit myself in confusion, get crit, and then it looks a bit more difficult. So we switch in Anorith, take 18 damage, and because of the para, actually, we're able to outspeed Volbeat. We live the Quick Attack on 1 HP. It's another early gym Pokemon where I just forget that they have Quick Attack, but get out of Viola 2 unscathed, fortunately. Now we get Watson 3, which is really, really good for this box because we have Clodsire, who I think may well just be able to solo this fight. I might switch out just to be safe, but Clodsire into Watson 3, very, very nice. We're gonna fortunately hit all 3 of these Mud Bombs, or Mud Shots rather, on a Graveler to take it out. Watson's gonna go ahead and put Magneton in, which is interesting to say the least, but we're gonna be able to 2-shot with Mudshot on this again. It is a bit crazy that Mudshot doesn't one-shot the Magneton that's 4 times weak to it, but that's alright. We get Paralyzed by Voltorb, which Paralyzed has been updated to match some of the newer Pokemon generations now. So it is only a 1 in 8 chance to para. Here we see that I get parried. I'm also trying... This is very unfortunate. I miss Mudshot. I get flinched. I get paralyzed, and then I try to yawn on the turn that poison point affects it. So now I'm just thinking, okay, I'm going to cycle through a bunch of my Pokemon to chip it down. I know it's going to be clicking Fire Fang here and not Bite, so I'm able to get Rotom in. And I'm thinking if I can just click Uproar on it, it will die after Poison, but I get flinched. So now I have to switch again. We're going to go back into Eldegoss. This Eldegoss has Regenerator, which is why its HP is a good threshold again. Unfortunately, we don't get flinched or crit. So Eldegoss is able to live. That's Watson 3 down. And now we're going to jump straight into Norman 4. And so I'm trying something new. I'm trying leading Spikes into Spinda because my idea is that if Spinda sees you use a status move or something of that nature, that it's going to Encore you. So I think maybe Spikes is coded as a status move, something like that. Unfortunately, that is not the case, so we only get up 2 layers of Spikes. Rotom comes in, click Shockwave, and another problem is I only have 1 Person Berry because I got one eaten off on Viola. I normally get 2 Person Berries. But fortunately, my Rotom snaps out of confusion very quickly. We're just able to 2-shot the Spinda. And because I'm a Ghost type using a special attack move, I know that it's going to go with Lanoon next. So when Lanoon comes out, I go Clodsire because Clodsire is a tank. I'm clicking Poison Jab. There is a world where maybe I want to be mud-shotting down to kill range of Poison Jab so that I don't start getting hit by Poison Facades, but my thought process is I just want to get it out as quickly as possible. I'm considering clicking Yawn here, but I remember that the Vigoroth is Vital Spirit and it can't go to sleep. I'm thinking that the Vigoroth is going to be clicking Trailblaze because I think Grass is super effective into ground, but it's ground poison. Grass isn't super effective into it, so I'm also unfortunately not able to get out of Baby Doll Eyes on the Vigoroth, so Uproar's Amphiclods are both still going to be strong. But my Rotom's going to come out, and we will click Shockwave a number of times, and KO the Vigoroth, fortunately. So, again, Rotom bailing me out in the early game. I know that while the Zorba is super effective into me, I'm pretty sure that I'm completely fine into this Pokemon. I think I should probably... In the future, I'm not going to be that risky. I can just switch in. I have 4 other Mons, 3 other Mons that can take it out. But we get Scott, and here I'm thinking what TMs I want to get. The whole TM system has been redone. Maybe at some point I'll make a video diving directly more into Scott, but we're able to get T-Bolt TM, I think Shadow Ball, maybe a few more, which getting Thunderbolt for Gym 4 when you get Winona is very, very nice, because Rotom's just going to be able to Nuclear Bomb pretty much everything on Winona's team. Tropius comes out, and I think Rotom probably would be fine into a Leaf Storm, but my idea is I can put Fortress in, guaranteed, take no damage, and then because the Leaf Storm won't get clicked anymore, I know it's just going to be Aerial Ace. Clodsire can come in and click a few super effective Poison Jabs into the Tropius, and because of the poison, it means that Poison Jab is a 2-hit KO after the potion, which is very nice. So after this, Swallow comes out. I was hoping that it would be Pelipper, because then it would mean that the AI doesn't see Water Absorb and I'd be able to do some funny stuff, but it's alright. It just means that we're going to get 2 more free kills on our plus special attack 20-something special attack IV Rotom. So, to the surprise of nobody, Rotom, very, very strong, especially early game, will scale very well late as well, but we're able to talk to Scott again here, and we get a few new items. I know I want Giga Drain because I have a Grass type. I know that Clodsire learns EQ, but I think it's for Gym 8 or the E4. And I'm thinking, I'll just take the EQ now. Maybe I'll use it in Flannery. I get Flannery 6, so maybe that's useful. We also have the Rotom catalog here, so I have Hydro Pump on my Rotom. Fortunately, it hits for the Marowak. And out comes Ninetales. I'm thinking I'll switch in. Dragonair should live a Sun-boosted Overheat. I'm like 99.9% sure. And it's not even really a question, fortunately. And my idea here is that I want to T-Wave the Ninetales so that So I know I'm going to get burned here because the Ninetales special attack is so low. It's not going to click Hex without you being status, and it's not going to click Overheat when it sees it's resisted. So my idea is I T-Wave so that it's slower when I put in Rotom, so that Rotom can click Hydro Pump without Sun Up and one-shot. We missed T-Wave twice, which is kind of crazy, but it ends up being alright because now Sun's down. I click Hydro Pump, I instantly miss. Okay, that's fine. It's 80% move. Okay, I missed 2 in a row, that's unlucky, but Ninetales gets paralyzed. And now I'm thinking I don't want to click my last 2 Hydro Pumps on Ninetales because I want them for the Torkoal and for the Camerupt. So we're able to take down the Ninetales with 2 Thunderbolts. We click Hydro Pump, and fortunately this time it hits, so this Torkoal we don't have to deal with. Now in comes Camerupt, and we're able to miss another Hydro Pump, which makes this a little bit annoying. Now I'm thinking I'm going to have to tank a Sun-boosted Overheat on some Pokemon. I go ahead and put Umbreon in just to tank it. Umbreon was one of my 3 options for Eevee this game. In Weekly Box, you talk to an Eevee NPC, which gives you 3 options. This week, I had Umbreon, Espeon, and Flareon, I believe, and I went Umbreon because I think it was the best option of any of those. There's a world where you go Flareon, I think, but I don't really like Flareon personally, and I thought Umbreon was good for what I was trying to do with this box. Golduck comes out and does the very funny water thing after Sun goes down of click Water Pulse twice and get 2 KOs. I should have taught this Surf, but I just completely forgot about it. Scott ends up offering us Flip Turn, which would be useful, but is useful, and I think I don't have it yet. Or I do have it, actually. Honestly, you might have just seen it. We end up getting Brawly 7 afterwards. And so the classic for Reuniclus into Brawly is you Calm Mind, Trick Room, Psychic. My idea with the addition of Sucker Punch to Farfetch'd moveset is that I will reflect so that Sucker Punch doesn't do as much damage. It ends up being effectively completely worthless because of how the fight goes down. I get parried by 10% paralyzation chance on Thunder Punch, and Reflect wears off the turn that Farfetch'd comes in, and the Farfetch'd feels very strange to me because a lot of times it doesn't click Sucker when it should, but here I'm thinking it kind of has to. But we switch in Clodsire, and I end up yawning, and I'm thinking maybe it'll switch on this turn, because there's a 50% chance that the AI will switch on Yawn. It does not do that, but Clodsire is just going to be able to stay in, click EQ a few times, and take the KO. Farfetch does get the full 3-turn Wake Up. That's another update. It used to be you'd get between 2 to 5 turns of sleep, I think, and now it's guaranteed either to wake up on turn 2 or turn 3. And now this is where things get a little bit difficult, because without Reuniclus to sweep this fight, this Hariyama is really difficult to play into. And I did not really prep anything to take this out because I just wasn't considering a lot of things for this. I think that the Reflect setup was probably a mistake, but I think realistically the para kind of messed with a lot, and then I need to adjust to playing versus Sucker Punch Farfetch'd. It changes a lot for Trick Room Mons, especially because your Trick Room has a set amount of turns, but here I'm just trying to stall out the Hariyama, and my idea is this weird stuff with Regenerate and Flip Turn. I go ahead and put Rotom in, thinking I can maybe one-shot the Hariyama. I'm not able to, but the Hariyama barely lives. I also miss another Hydro Pump, which is kind of classic with Hydro Pump. And unfortunately here, I think I just have to sack Armaldo in order to get a clean switch into a Pokemon that can do something versus Hariyama. So here I'm considering what my line's going to be, and I think it's just going to be a sack Armaldo, and then we're going to get a regenerator proc on Reuniclus and try to switch it into a brick break. So we get Eldegoss in, we tank a knockoff. I think from this HP it's guaranteed brick break because it doesn't see kill with knockoff. Fortunately, that is correct. We see that knockoff takes me down to 53 from about 120, so that does 70 damage. And I'm considering that maybe I don't need to be worried about Blaze Kick killing here, but I'm thinking if it Blaze Kicks and kills my Reuniclus, which I think Blaze Kick sees a kill here, that then I'm completely shopped. I have nothing that can deal with it. So we put in Golduck and end up just sacking it. I wanted to flip turn on a focus energy turn, but it just sees kill with double kick. But fortunately, Reuniclus able to take the kill and doesn't get full parried, which is very helpful. I think if it got full parried, I might have just swiped on that Blaziken, honestly. But here we get probably our last set of TMs because I want Mega Dragonite for the E4. I buy out pretty much all the TMs that I get access to, and we get Archie 8, which is very fun. I really like the Magma and the Aqua leaders for Gym 8. I honestly kind of wish that they were guaranteed for Gym 8, but that's another story. For the Mightyena, I don't really know what my strategy is here. I kind of play it like an idiot, honestly. I try to sing twice when I know I can just switch into Fortress and one-shot with Body Press. I also lost my Citrus Berry on Eldegoss, which is kind of silly, but it ends up being fine. We take the kill after a bit of chip. Walrein comes in, and I know it's going to be clicking Surf, so I go Clodsire. And I go ahead and get some chip with EQ. I low-key kind of forget that Ice is super effective in the ground here. I know that I play this game 15 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours a week, but it still happens sometimes. But Clodsire, I'm going to go ahead and switch out for Rotom. I left Rotom as Rotom Wash here in case I needed to swap going into E4. Also, water might be best outside of grass for this gym, just because you resist water. But I know this Lantern cannot damage my Water Absorb Clodsire at all. It only knows Thunderbolt and Surf as damaging moves, I think. So in goes Clodsire. We're going to be able to take the Lantern down with a few Earthquakes. We get Heal on Lantern, which is very helpful. And we one-shot even through the heal. Now Crobat comes in, and this is the Crobat that has access to Acrobatics, which does get a bit stressful. And I know that my Clodsire does no damage to it, but I yawn, hoping that it does not switch out of yawn. And it doesn't, fortunately. So Rotom's able to tank an Acro, and we set up a sub, and now this Crobat has Infiltrator, so it goes through Substitute with its move, which seems like, oh no, it's bad, it hits me, but this is perfect because we're able to take out the Crobat, and in comes the Mega Sharpedo, and I don't have to worry at all about the Mega Sharpedo clicking Strong Jaw Boost Crunch because my Substitute tanks the damage, and we're able to one-shot with Thunderbolt, and that is the gym phase down. And we're going to go ahead and pick up the Mega Dragonite Stone, which I hope will get a little bit of use in the E4. And I'm just checking to see if there are any TMs that I want. There's not really anything because I really just want to get the Mega Stone for Dragonite. Now we get Sydney, and we're going to see a little bit of stupid stuff. I think that Dragonite solo sweeps Spencer, but as you can tell, this is not Spencer. But I'm still looking to see if I can sub on Leech Seed and then get a sweep off. But it's kind of self-evident that this isn't going to work because this Grimmsnarl, you can't outrage the Grimmsnarl. And of course it's going to come in next because it will see the most damage. I get an Air Slash Flinch. I nearly lose my main E4 carry on E4-1, which is like classic KCH42. I do this every single time I get a new Mega. I almost lose my carry to E4-1, or I do. But very stupid because we have Fortress in the back. I also didn't teach Heavy Slam to Fortress because I forgot that that's a move tutor move. So the way that I play this does make this E4 a little bit difficult, but I'm thinking I think Groudon's guaranteed to click Crab Hammer here, which it does fortunately, and because I'm special attack Rotom, I think I one-shot, and I don't have to worry about knockoff, which fortunately I do. Now out comes Absol, and I'm thinking this is going to be clicking Night Slash, and I don't really want to take Night Slash damage on my Rotom, because I want my Rotom to be able to deal with Samurott if need be. And now I'm thinking I just put my Eldegoss in. If I got crit by Aerial Ace there, I lose my Eldegoss, which, again, stupid plays. There are a lot of stupid plays going on. I go ahead and put Umbreon in to tank an Aerial Ace, and I Charm just because Absol will normally crit if it uses Night Slash, but if it doesn't use Night Slash, it has, I think, a 1 in 4 chance or something to crit. So I want the move to do a lot less damage to my Rotom on switch, and I think that Rotom kills Absol from this HP, which fortunately it does. And now I'm going to play very safe here, put Clodsire in, because I think Clodsire can tank any 2 moves that this thing uses. Fortunately, it goes for Aqua Jet on 1, which does kind of tell me that Rotom wouldn't have died to anything except Night Slash crit, but I don't want to risk that. But we put Rotom in. I also think my Rotom outspeeds Samurott. I'm not super familiar with using Rotom, so I'm not sure. But we are able to take the Samurott down eventually, and we end up getting Lucy on 2. And so again, I want to set up a Dragonite sweep. So I yawn on the Seviper, and there are 2 things that can happen. Either the Seviper uses a move, and my Dragonite gets the setup on the sleep Pokemon, or it switches to Crobat probably, because it sees that I'm a ground type and it doesn't have any super effective moves, aside from Overquill, Waterfall, which I wouldn't be too worried about on Dragonite. But we're able to get Dragon Dance and Outrage down. Shockingly, Swalot lives in Outrage. I did not expect that. But Lucy doesn't heal because I think it's a range. I think I low-rolled. The Seviper comes in again. We just click Outrage. And fortunately, Lucy goes Dustox next. I was a little bit worried that maybe Outrage doesn't kill Overquill, and then I'm locked into it, and there's some weird crunch plus poison stuff that can end up killing me. Fortunately, that doesn't happen, and we're able to switch into a different Pokemon and keep our Dragonite alive. I put in Clodsire thinking maybe there's a chance it's a Waterfall. It's probably guaranteed to be a Crunch, honestly. But my Clodsire has super effective move. We'll be able to 2-shot the Overquill. And we do end up getting the Waterfall, which is very nice. And that means Lucy is down, and our next fight is going to be Tucker, which Tucker, when you have an Umbreon, when you have a Dragonite, is very tough. And fortunately, we have a Poison type who's going to be able to 2-shot the Wigglytuff and get a full restore out. But this fight's still going to be difficult. We do get lucky with the second Sing missing. Gardevoir comes in, and I know it's clicking Psychic here. So I want to go Umbreon, get 1 Snarl off, and then switch in. I want to Snarl only once, because if you Snarl twice, Gardevoir is guaranteed to click Calm Mind, get the special defense boost, and maybe there's a world where Fortress, after coming in, isn't going to be able to deal with Gardevoir, and I don't want to have to deal with the plus special defense Gardevoir. Especially because to get another -1 special attack, I'd have to leave Umbreon in for another turn. So we get the old Snarl, Screech, Moonlight combination, and then we get Fortress in. And I think if I have Heavy Slam here, this is a one-shot. I'm not really sure. But we almost one-shot. It's left on 1 HP. And because of that, our Fortress takes a lot more damage than I was really ready for it to take. I really thought that with Screech I'd be able to one-shot, but not how the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. We get Togekiss in second, for which I go Rotom next. I'm thinking, because I'm plus special attack Rotom, maybe I can one-shot with Thunderbolt. I don't, but I will be able to two-shot, which is fine. We get the last potion out for Togekiss, and we crit just for fun. Now Rapidash comes in, and I'm really thinking that this is going to be Psycho Cut. I'm almost positive this is going to be Psycho Cut, and I'm correct. I don't know if that was a smart play. Maybe it's a 50-50, but I was almost positive it was going to click Psycho Cut there. I think this Rapidash prefers Psycho Cut over any other move. So we are able to get the Charm off. I know that I'm going to be switching into Dazzling Gleam here, and Dazzling Gleam will 3-hit KO me, which that's part of the issue with taking that extra damage from Gardevoir from not one-shotting with Gyro Ball, but I think it'll end up being okay. Because this Rapidash is -2 attack, I'm not too concerned about the damage that I'm going to be taking from it. I'm checking, though, to see what the speed is, and I think with Mega, which my Dragonite should have Mega, I think with Mega, my Dragonite should outspeed Rapidash, and I'll be able to kill it with a... I'm checking my IVs there. I should be able to kill Rapidash with a Mega Air Slash, which we're going to play for here. So we get Dragonite in. Fortunately, we don't get paralyzed, which could have made it a bit awkward. But we hit it with Air Slash. Fortunately, it does KO. In comes Mawile, and realistically, I think I should just switch into Clodsire here, but for some reason I want to keep Dragonite in to see how much damage it takes. It doesn't... I don't think that's really in risk of a crit, but I should just always go Clodsire here a bit earlier, but we put it out eventually, and we get through Tucker lossless. And now the best fight of the entire video. Make sure to watch this if you're listening to this in the background. You click Dragon Dance, you tank a Dragon Hammer, which doesn't do that much damage because you have multi-scale, and then you click Outrage, okay. Dragalge comes in next because it sees that everything gets one shot. Cool. Salamence next for the Intimidate. Maybe that Intimidate's going to mess us up. Maybe we won't. Oh, no, never mind. We do one shot. Then we Person Berry. And these two Pokemon are guaranteed one shot. I think I misclicked the Pokemon bag there. So a little bit of a time loss on Drake. But everything else, boom. I clicked 3 moves. I think that's the first time I've ever clicked 3 moves to beat an Elite Four member. And now we get the best champion, Wally. And so my idea here is that I Dragon Dance and then Aerial Ace the Roserade for guaranteed KO. And I'm thinking that because I'm Dragon type, Wally will put in Azumarill, but I don't use a Dragon type move. So there's no Azumarill priority here, it'll just go Garchomp, which I do have a +1 attack, +1 speed Dragonite out, and I do have Mega. I think I kind of Mega for fun here, just to make sure I outspeed, and I don't think I'm going to use Mega anywhere else, but Outrage just guaranteed nuclear bombs this Garchomp with a +1 attack. And no matter what, whether I Mega or don't, Azumarill is always going to come out here, and it will always kill me. So... But we're able to get 2 Mons out with our Mega, which into Wally is great. I'm going to go ahead and put Rotom in for Azumarill. I'm hoping that I can one-shot, but I don't think I can. Azumarill is very beefy, and I can't. And unfortunately, I do take a decent chunk of damage from the Azumarill. Also, I'm realizing at this point that Rotom Refrigerator is nice into Garchomp, but when the Garchomp's dead, Rotom is unusable into a Steel type, a Fighting type, and a Fire type when it has Ice typing. So a little bit of a mistake there, but Fortress is going to be able to come out and tank 2 close combats. This thing is a demon, and stall a turn with Protect. And I'm contemplating if I have anything that I want to put into a close combat. There's nothing. And I live the close combat, so I'm able to get Spikes out. which means I'll break Magnezone Sturdy. Having spikes into this fight is actually so useful into the Magnezone because it's effectively like you have a free Sturdy break, which normally you can only get access to with, say, a U-turn mon or a flip turn mon. But spikes is very useful here, and I'm thinking, okay, this Gallade is at -2. It's going to be -3 after this close combat. I'm going to be able to Giga Drain and one-shot it with my Eldegoss because -3 special defense is very weak. I barely do over half, so that's a bit unfortunate. But we don't get Psycho Cut crit, and we do end up two-shotting, fortunately. Now, there is a world where I switch Eldegoss out in order to like stall stuff with Magneton in a different box. With this box, I'm just going to sack it for fun. And now we have the world's longest Talonflame fight. We get crit by Brave Bird, which is a bit rough, but then we click Charm only once because at -3 and 4, Talonflame will switch out. I don't want it to switch out. I just want to kill it with Umbreon or get it as low as possible. But this is kind of the polar opposite of the Drake fight. On Drake, we click 3 moves. On Talonflame alone, I think we click about 30. Because Talonflame has Roost and the final potion as well. So we barely don't KO it. It heals again, and we just have to keep clicking Snarl and clicking Snarl and clicking Snarl. And we are going to be able to get it low, fortunately, so whatever Pokemon we end up putting in after this is going to be able to take it out, but I do still get rather low. And the thought here is that after Talonflame KOs, maybe I should put Rotom in so that Clodsire doesn't take any chip damage, but my Rotom outspeeds the Magnezone, and I'm thinking maybe there's a world where Clodsire doesn't one-shot with EQ. It doesn't really matter. My Clodsire is able to come in, and because of the Spike Chip, the Fortress was able to get out. We're able to one-shot the Magnezone without having to worry about Flash Cannon shenanigans. Tier list for this week, I have Rotom in an unsurprising position. I felt during my run, like, especially when it was missing all the Hydro Pumps, that it wasn't really that good. But especially watching back through, seeing how much it carries you in the early game, how well it scales into late, even just with Thunderbolt, without the stab other move that it has. It's still just very, very good Pokemon. Very stable the whole game, does a lot, very good moveset, very good Thunderbolt user. If you get very early Watson, you get Shockwave for Gym 2, otherwise Gym 3. Uproar, also useful move. Ominous Wind, useful move. Ghost, useful typing. And you have Pivot everywhere else. I think, even though I personally don't like drafting Rotom because I don't like spending that much money on a Pokemon, I think this is kind of easily the best Pokemon in the game for me right now. I think that there are some situations where you don't really need it, but I think Ghost types are very underrated, and I think having the ability to flex for different situations is very useful. And I don't even use this thing properly. I mean, I had Refrigerator for Wally, which I think is a very big mistake. I know that I took it for the Garchomp, but I think having something else would have been better. But even with me not playing it properly, this is a very, very good Pokemon. And I think people paying 5K for this is justified. And honestly, it should probably be going for a bit more. But Rotom, very good. Another very good Pokemon that I will probably still not be drafting is Dratini. And I say that I probably won't be drafting it because I'm not a big fan of Pokemon that just sit in the box for the first 8 gyms. And to be fair, as the second evolution, or as the second stage, first evolution, I think this guy's a bit usable. And Dragon type's decent. You're a Fire Resist, which is very useful just to be a switch in for Flannery. But I don't think it's... I don't think any level of skill in the E4 or any level of power in the E4 can justify being unusable. But if there were any genre of Pokemon for me that could sneak into S, even though I don't bid on it, it would be this. The fact that you sweep Drake is very big. I think Drake's one of the harder E4 fights. Unfortunately, you don't sweep Tucker, which is the hardest E4 fight, and you're kind of unusable into it for the most part, but still, very good Pokemon in the E4. I think I effectively swept Lucy. You can sweep Spencer, you can sweep Drake, and being able to sweep multiple E4 members will always be very, very useful, which is why I have this thing so high, even though it's a niche I don't really use. A niche that I do use, however, is Wooper, and this Pokemon is really, really good, especially if you get Water Absorb naturally. But even if you have to spend 2,000 on getting Water Absorb now, it's not that big a deal. You can still get Pounce Icy Wind, or you can still get another ability patch, depending on what you need going into Gym 2. But this guy's very good. By Gym 3, this Pokemon Gym 3 is absurd, and the fact that it's still usable and good going into later stages of the game is just such a boon for your team. Honestly, again, this is a Pokemon that I could see going up here. I think it's not quite strong enough to get into S, but realistically, if you argued with me, I would move it up. I think that this Pokemon's very good. You get EQ naturally, you get Poison Jab super early. I think for Gym 3, you have Poison Jab, which is nuts. You have Toxic Spikes, which I didn't really use, but can be useful. You have Yawn, which is very useful. I love getting a free switch all the time. I honestly prefer Yawn to Spore or Sleep Powder at this point, because you can mess with the switch AI a little bit, but very good Pokemon. And I see why people bid so much for it. I don't like ground type still, but I think this has been added to my pool for ground types that I will bid for. Especially, I just really like poison types, and I think the ground type is not too much of a weakness for this Pokemon. So moving on to B tier, we have kind of the three most mediocre Mons from this run. I do think my Pineco is very good, and I've really liked using this. I think that Body Press is a boon for this thing. I think with Heavy Slam, it's even better. But you're very bulky. You have Spikes, which is very nice to have. You can keep Rapid Spin if you need to get rid of it. Your moveset isn't terrible early game, but really you're just a switch wall, which for this box is very nice. If you have an Intimidate user, is also very nice because you can guarantee some moves to be used, get your Intimidate Pokemon in. So in boxes where you're going to switch in, switch out, it's very nice. And just being so bulky is also very nice. It's kind of like bad Scissor without the ability to kill anything, which is still a good Pokemon. And I enjoyed using it, but it's not that great. And the reason I put it here is because with my rose tinted glasses, I want to put it here because it lives multiple Gallade close combats. But I think realistically it could be back here depending on the run that you have. But Gossiflower, it's a grass type. That's effectively all that can be said for it. It's really not that good. I think there's a reason it's one of the least liked grass types in the community. But it's a grass type. You have Regenerator. You evolve early. That's effectively it. I don't like this Mon, but it's a grass type. So I will continue bidding on it, and it will continue to go for over 2k, even though it's not that good. Solosis, the Surfetched update to give it Sucker Punch is a really big nerf for this Pokemon. You can't sweep Brawly anymore, which really limits the value you can get out of this. And also the fact that TMs are different, so you can't reliably get Shadow Ball, and maybe you don't want to give Shadow Ball to this because you want Shadow Ball for your Rotom or something. I'm not sure, but this got nerfed a lot by the change. I still think it's decent, but I didn't really like this Pokemon before the box, and I don't like it after. I am not a fan of slow Pokemon, and I think generally Trick Room setups are not really for me. At least at this point, maybe in the future it'll be different, but it's still a decent Pokemon, which is why it's up here and not down in the dregs, but it's not great. Regenerator's nice, having Duosion for Gym 3 is nice, but it's not great. Then moving on to the Forgotten Children, we have two of the new additions, unfortunately. Psyduck, I am extremely underwhelmed by. If it weren't a water type, it would easily be in D. I don't think this thing is great. To be fair, I didn't have Cloud 9, which maybe changes a bit for it, but it's another water type. It has very late Evo. You do have access to Water Sport, which is nice. This thing to me is very adjacent to Ducklet because you evolve late, you have access to Water Sport, you can kind of eke through Flannery and set up other Pokemon that you have, like a Rotom Wash that doesn't miss Hydro Pump, unlike mine, to set up or to sweep. So it's not bad. I think as a Chud Water, it kind of goes in the same niche as Octillery for me. And I like Octillery mainly because you can get it for very cheap, but I don't think Psyduck is really that game changing. It's decently quick, so you can use Flip Turn, but it's not that great. And I think that this is kind of just a Pokemon to add another water type to the pool so that water types don't get too diluted, which, fair enough. And then last is Anorith. This Pokemon, so I used this when the community did an inverse Blitz with only Pokemon that weren't available in Blitz. I had this, and it was fun. I think I champed it. I unfortunately don't think it's that great. I think that Rock type is not that much of a premium. I think Bug type isn't that much of a premium, and your level up moveset isn't great. Access to Pounce now is a bit of an improvement, but effectively anytime I wanted a Bug type, why would I go Anorith over Pineco? Battle Armor does add a bit of interesting stuff, and I'm sure there's probably some angles that I'm not really thinking of, which is why I don't have it in D, but I don't think this is that great a Pokemon, and I don't think it really changes that much in the meta. But that is week 20 in the books. Thanks for watching.